You're listening to The Digital Guy, Bruce Nazarian, on Solar Radio.
Time to send out greetings, as always, as we do this time of a Sunday. Although you will note, if you're listening live, keeping it solar on Sunday, right after my buddy Mike Parlett. This is Bruce Nazarian, the Digital Guy, and we're a little bit later tonight than we normally are because of the time differences between the U.S. and the U.K., but that will rectify itself next week. But you know what? Doesn't matter, because wherever you're listening to a rebroadcast, and we get 7 or 8 of those every week, including a brand new rebroadcast on Smooth Groove 24/7. I'm going to dig back into the songbook a little bit from a little bit back in the day and feature Millie Scott, who's going to be performing at the Lemonade Weekend. This is One Stop Lover from Millie's Island LP, and I did say LP, one called Love Me Right, with all the fierce hair and stuff. Stick with us for the next couple of hours. We got great new music from Unam and Terry Tuck and Roberto Valli, and a great interview coming up at 5 o'clock. Here's the Digital Guy Show. Going to send this out to my partner in crime, Ron Matlock, down in Atlanta, who co-wrote this. Well, I'll tell you one thing, the Dolby Theater on March 29th, 2014 is going to be your one-stop location for a boatload of great Detroit music. And we sincerely hope it's going to be satisfaction guaranteed. The Motortown Hollywood Review Show, which is part of the Lemonade Weekend 2.0, is going to be taking place. And Millie Scott will be performing along with the other ladies that you hear on this record, Carol Hall, Kathy Cousins, And we're bringing in also the legendary Pat Lewis from Detroit, along with every one of the front guys from Was Not Was, Sweet Pea Atkinson and Sir Harry Bowen and Donald Ray Mitchell and the sensational Harlem Lee, my very dear friend from the city of Detroit. It's going to be a Detroit music party like a whole lot of folks have not seen in a long time, and you're all invited. Check it out online, lemonadeweekend2.com. And in just a little while, I'm going to be heading out after we wrap the show up, heading down to Spaghettini in Orange County to sit in with Phil Denny and this man, Greg Manning, who is playing with him tonight. And here is Dance With You. That, of course, is Mindy Abair. And I'll let you in on a little secret, although it's not much of a secret. I'm playing guitar on that track. Thank you very much, Greg Manning, for inviting me to do so. Greg is playing tonight with Phil Denny down at Spaghettini, and if you're not there, you should be at Cafe Cordial checking out Terry Woolman and Melanie Taylor and Giovanni Collier and Eric Valentine and all the rest of the fabulous musicians there for the Melanie Taylor experience, because both Phil Denny and Greg Manning and Melanie Taylor and Terry Woolman and Eric Valentine and Giovanni Collier, they are all Lemonade Weekend artists, and they will all be playing as part of the various musical events coming up at the Lemonade Weekend 2.0 next March. Check it out, okay? On the web, it is lemonadeweekend2, the number 2.com. And you can find everything about who the artists are and what the events are and what time things go off. Boy, I tell you, it's going to be a party for 4 days, and you don't want to miss it. Well, that means it's time for
The Digital Guy's Funky Corner.
And the Funky Corner starts off this week as a birthday celebration for our friend Unam. Hello, Unam. Happy birthday. It's a brand new single from Unam featuring Niveau 2, his new band. It's called C'est Le Funk, part of our favorite kind of music. And by the way, Unam is a Lemonade Weekend artist. He's going to be playing at the Lemonade Weekend next March. You got to get your ticket. And by the way, if you are new to the Digital Guy Show, if you may not know how things work, we keep a page on Facebook, facebook.com/TDG Radio, T like the, D like digital, G like guy, TDG Radio, where you can come and post and say hello and make comments and talk to us during the show. We're there all the time, but we really monitor that exclusively because we don't have a chat window anywhere else that we want to pay attention. And by the way, we are live on Ustream Video as well. So come around, check it all out. And happy birthday greetings to our buddy Unam and his brand new single, C'est Le Funk, that features Niveau 2. And like I said, Unam is going to be at the Lemonade Weekend next March 27th through 30th, and you should be there too.
Baldwin, and you're listening to Bruce Nazarian, the Digital Guy.
Something brand new off of Bob Baldwin's
Sweet Brown,
CD.
baby.
20?
Ain't nobody got time for that.
Yeah, that's what it's called. How appropriate this is in the funky corner. Bob Baldwin will be at the Lemonade Weekend also with his hats and his CDs, all 20 of them, and playing his behind y'all.
Ain't nobody got time for that. I got bronchitis. Sweet brown, baby. Ain't nobody got time for that. Yeah. Sweet brown, tell me, baby, how did you get all the news? Well, I woke up to go get me a cold pop. Pop, pop, pop. Then I forgot my 75 cents. Sweet. Girl, what you doing getting a cold pop at 3 o'clock in the morning? Cause I'm thirsty. I'm thirsty. Real thirsty. Ain't got no time. Cold popping, baby. Ain't got no time. But I seen you was a pop. And I said, oh, Jesus, a pop. I'm praying for my life. Lord Jesus. Oh, Jesus. Ain't got no time. Oh, yeah, I got bronchitis. Oh, Jesus. Ain't got no time. Ain't nobody got time for this. Ain't got no time. Ain't nobody got time for that. Nobody, baby. Ain't got no time. Ain't nobody got time for that. Nobody. Ain't got no time. No, baby. Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time for this. Ain't got no time. Got no time. Ain't nobody got time for that. Nobody, baby. Now, Sweet Brown, I know you ain't got time for a lot of that. Yeah, ain't got time. No time. Yeah. Yeah, ain't nobody got time. Tell them what you ain't got time for, Sweet. Now, y'all listen up. Sweet ain't got time for a lot of things now. She ain't got time for bullying. She ain't got time for bad food.
Preach, girl.
And she sure ain't got time for burnt barbecue, baby.
X-Nay on the barbecue,
I ain't got time for a lot of things, but Sweet gon' be sweet.
Just be sweet, honey.
You heard? Yeah. Ain't nobody got time for that. Yes, baby. No. I ain't got time for no overcooked fish, no overcooked shrimp, no undercooked dressing. I ain't no rabbit now. I don't eat that. I ain't got time. Ain't nobody got time for that. Sweet out, baby. Sweet out.
You are one hot mess.
Boy, you got that right. That is one hot mess. I got to tell you, that is my pal Bob Baldwin channeling funk like it's coming straight out of Detroit. and ain't got time for that. Want to say hi to some folks that are out there listening. Dave Merton's out there. Dave, of course, is running Smooth Grooves 24/7, where we are now appearing as a syndicator. Thank you, Dave. We're happy to be on your lineup of shows. And also, let's see, my niece Kate is out there listening in the Chicagoland area. Hi, Kate. Hope you're making a fun dinner. And whatever is out there somewhere in the wild hinterlands of Deutschland. Hello, whatever, wie geht's? And we have a whole bunch of friends, as we usually do, listening all around the world. Hope you're enjoying this brand new track that we just picked off of Bob Baldwin's 20 CD. Bob's going to be appearing at the Lemonade Weekend, and we're talking about cooking up some pretty incredible collaborations, musically speaking. So this would be a good time to pop on over and pick up your tickets. LemonadeWeekend2.com/TIX. And if you're out and about, check us out on tdgradio.mobi on your smart telephone device.
You're listening to TDG Radio, your escape from the ordinary.
And by another amazing coincidence, this artist, Darren Ron, whose track Wave of the Future we're playing, is also coming to the Lemonade Weekend to perform. And he's not only performing on his own, he's performing with Paul Brown in the producers segment. Well, we want to remind you that if you enjoy visual stimulation, you are welcome to tune us in live on Ustream, which is what we do every Sunday during the live show. Check us out at ustream.tv/channel facebook.com/TDG Radio. And all of our shows are archived, actually from this year, are archived there with the exception of the very first one. Like I said, we got some brand new music on this week's show, and this is some more of it. This is Detroit bassist Terry Tuck with Desert Wind. You got to check this out. This group is fabulous. Terry Tuck. Well, that definitely belongs in the wrap-up slot in the Funky Corner tonight. That is something brand new from Detroit bass player and a friend of mine, by the way, I should say, from long, long ago, Terry Tuck. Man, I heard that the first time, and I said, we've got to put this on the air for the Digital Guy listeners. We encourage all of our friends to tell all of your friends, all of our listeners, tell all your friends. Check out the Desert Wind CD from Terry Tuck. A lot of great stuff on there. Terry and his lovely wife, Nkenje, I think is how she pronounces her name. The Desert Wind. That's going to wrap up the Funky Corner for the Digital Guy radio show for this week. And we'll be back at our regular time next week, 4 to 6 p.m.
Something special from the Digital Guy.
Something special from our pal Brian Simpson, who we're still trying to get the exact date locked in, but it's looking more and more like we're going to have him in the early part of the Lemonade Weekend, quite possibly even on the VIP kickoff party. Keep your fingers crossed. Well, that is Brian's current single from his current CD. That one's called Emerald City. And we've been watching him on Facebook as he's been posting from around the world where he's been playing. Just finished up some gigs in Japan, and he's on his way to Seoul, South Korea. So, Brian, I highly recommend the kalbi, the Korean barbecue. It's really something amazingly special to behold. So check it out. Our friend Brian Simpson, who we anticipate locking in for his performance date at the Lemonade Weekend 2.0 anytime soon.
Hi, this is jazz flutist Kim Scott, and you're listening to the Digital Guy Radio Show, hosted by one of the coolest DJs I know, Bruce Nazarian.
Well, thank you very much, Miss Kim Scott. Not only is she a fine flautist, she's a great educator in the school system down there. And we're very pleased to note that her performance is signed, sealed, and delivered and locked in. And Kim is definitely going to be at the Lemonade Weekend 2.0. So now you just got to buy a ticket. Kim Scott there, living her life like it's golden. That is a fabulous track from Kim's CD, and we consider ourselves incredibly fortunate to have this wonderful music educator come in to perform, because not only does she play some great flute, but she really cares about education and kids, and that's really what the Lemonade Weekend is all about, to raise money to support school music programs here in LA and Detroit.
You're listening to the Digital Guy Radio, the best music from around the world.
And thank you, Stephanie. Stephanie Sales there, who along with her better half, Jimmy King, will be coming to Lemonade. Here's Jessie J. is Magdalena from Jessie J from her Second Chances CD. By the way, we on occasion play the track Second Chances, the title track, which happens to be a collaboration with Jessie J and Johnny Britt. Johnny Britt, who was kind enough to come and sit in at our Celebrate George Duke show. And I've been talking to Johnny about coming on down and playing at Lemonade, and I'm pretty sure that we're going to make that happen. So Lemonade Weekend 2.0 just keeps getting better and better and better and better. And just to remind you what Johnny Britt sounds like, here's his track from a little while back. It's called Feels So Good. His CD will be out early next year. Great trumpeter, Johnny Britt. Johnny Britt there with Feels So Good. And boy, are you going to be amazed at all the great tracks that are going to be on his brand new CD coming out early next year. And we're looking forward to having him play a bunch of them at the Lemonade Weekend. You know what time it is now? It is Stephanie's birthday. That's what time it is.
The Digital Guy New Music Feature with Dennis Poole.
Well, in addition to it being Stephanie Sale's birthday today, happy birthday, Stephanie. She was down at Pizza Express a little bit earlier on. This is the place in the show and the time in the show where we recommend a piece of new music as suggested by our pal Dennis Poole of SmoothJazzTherapy.com. And this week, Dennis has selected a track from rising sax star Brandon Willis. The 21-year-old Willis lives in Seattle and is currently a junior at the University of Washington. He has just released his debut album entitled First Time, and the track that is catching much of the early attention is the extremely easy grooving Stay With Me. With a vibe reminiscent of Huge Groove at his very best, this cool cut should quickly establish Willis as a smooth jazz player to be reckoned with. In November 2012, Willis, who also co-wrote and produced the CD, opened up the show for Grammy-nominated saxophonist Gerald Albright and Grammy-winning guitarist Norman Brown at Seattle University. And with more of the quality of Stay With Me, it shouldn't be too long before Brandon is taking star billing for his very own. So here's Dennis's pick this week, as usual every week this time. Stay With Me from the very talented young Brandon Willis here on the Digital Guy radio program. I don't think you necessarily have to have a crystal ball to suggest that we're going to hear a lot more from Brandon Willis as things go along. He's part of the young generation of great new players coming on up and doing it. And here is another track from another part of the young generation of fantastic players also coming to play at the Lemonade Weekend.
Hi, this is Magdalena.
And Robert from the band Freestyle.
And you are listening to the Digital Guy radio show,
hosted by our buddy Bruce Nazarian.
I was just chatting a little bit earlier with Magdalena. They are back in Deutschland after a somewhat significant boat tour of that part of the world. And they are very much looking forward to coming to Hollywood and starting their very first American tour. Here's Easily in Love, Magdalena Kovantseva with Paul Brown. Magdalena Kovantseva on saxophone, and of course the Three Style folks are right there behind her. Three Style is Magdalena and her sister Gabriella, and Robert Fertel on guitar. That's Paul Brown, though, that you are hearing on that fine, fine mellow solo guitar. And we're going to have to find out from Paul. I wonder if maybe he'll drop on by on Friday when Three Style's playing and sit in and do that tune with him. You never know. You never know. Here's Foreplay. Take us up to the top of the hour, and our interview this week with Phil Denny.
You're listening to The Digital Guy, Bruce Nazarian, on Solar Radio. Behind the Music, with The Digital Guy.
And we're hearing the opening strains of Traffic Jam from our guest Phil Denny, who'll be with us in just a minute. Hang on. Well, unless you're a contemporary jazz fan that's been hiding under a rock somewhere for the last year, it's a pretty safe bet that you've heard that track somewhere on radio. And that, of course, is Traffic Jam from our guest today, Phil Denny, all the way from the great state of Michigan. Hi, Phil.
Hey, Bruce. How are you?
I'm doing just great. Thanks a lot for taking some time today to come and chat with me and, send your good wishes out to the International Digital Guy radio audience. They're very happy to have you here, and we're really excited about your show coming up at Spaghettini later on tonight.
Cool, yeah, and I'm excited to be back on the program.
And back on the West Coast, I would expect.
Yes, of course, especially this time of year.
Yes, well, there's never really a bad time of year in Southern California. That's one of the reasons why I spend a lot of my time here now as opposed to back in Michigan, and I'm sure you know.
Yeah, no, it's a great place.
So congratulations, needless to say, on your return visit to Spaghettini, and most importantly, congratulations on a fine debut CD, Crossover. You tickled a little earlier attempts, I should say, at doing some recording, and then finally just went all in on Crossover in the 2012 thing. But why don't you remind people, what were you doing before you chose to be a musician?
Yeah, or a full-time musician. You know, I graduated with a degree in business administration, and after college, I found myself in mortgage banking, and really that was quite a roller coaster ride for several years, for several different reasons. But I just kind of reached a point in the career, in a different state in my life where I decided, if I was going to commit myself to music, now would be the best time. Coming off of that high, working in mortgage banking. Some opportunities started to present themselves, and then mentally and honestly, artistically, I think I was ready to make the jump back in 2005 and have been having a great time ever since.
Well, it certainly sounds like that, and your recorded efforts certainly indicate that as well. And of course, your jump from a different career to music is by no means unprecedented. I mean, if we look back into easily recallable history, Wes Montgomery didn't start doing music until he was about 50 or so. So you got him beat by a couple decades, I'm thinking.
Just shy, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. It's one of those things, Bruce. It was a risk versus reward decision, and Crossover was really the birth of myself as an artist, out in public, nationally, internationally, and it was a learning process. It was a growth process, and looking forward to continuing to create music.
Well, I know that you are going to continue onward and upward, and we're going to talk in just a second about some new projects that you've got, including, I think, the one that's coming out in time for the holidays. But before we do, let me spin up just a little bit of La Coquina, which was the first track of yours that we brought to our audience. And we'll be back in just a couple of seconds, Phil.
Thank you.
we could tell very early on from the quality of what you were doing and the tone, because, you know, with a saxophone player, the tone and intonation and performance are a dead giveaway of whether you've got it under your fingers or not. And it was very clear from hearing that the first time that you had it under your fingertips.
As a horn player, thank you for saying that, because I think we all strive for that identifiable sound, and La Coquina certainly, as you mentioned, I think captures that. It's a fun tune. It's kind of one of those sexy Latin feel type of tracks, and the fun part about La Coquina recording early is it was my way to sort of test how I could record with the tenor saxophone and the soprano. So that song sort of acted as, like a test, but it also doubled as a little duet that I sort of made happen, between the two horns.
The magic of the recording studio. Might be a little tough to do that live in person without another player, but Yeah, it was fun, and I worked on that with an independent producer from my hometown, and that was really what got me excited about recording and songwriting. I've been a musician for 20 plus years, but really hadn't, developed the talent for songwriting, and then at some point I just decided, if I'm going to be an artist, I need to have my own music representative of who I am, and that's really, that was the foundation of where we are now. And that is quite true, because, the secret, a lot of artists think that being a player is like the whole secret to it. And actually, that's just the beginning, because the reality is that if you are a writer, you can craft the music to suit yourself exactly, and that is really obvious, or at least it was obvious to me as an old-time musician with La Coquina, that you had the tone, and it was definitely under your fingers and sounded good. I'm going to spin about 30-40 seconds of Push here, which was your first single from Crossover, if I remember correctly.
That's correct, yep.
Here we are, featuring Nate Harris. I'm Phil Denny with Push. It's right down the smooth jazz strike zone. So I am, of course, am compelled to clarify for our listeners. A lot of times people lump you in as being from Detroit, but you're actually from a little further northwest, if I remember.
Yep, I'm from our capital, Lansing, Michigan, which is, pretty central state. If you hold your hand out and you just kind of point to the center of your palm, that's where Lansing, Michigan is.
The mitten effect.
In a funny story, I had a friend from Detroit meet up with a mutual friend in the industry, and he said, "Hey, do you know that guy Phil Denny from Detroit?" And he said, No, Phil's not from Detroit. Not a Detroit guy. He's a Lansing guy, So, I think by default I do get bunched into the Detroit crowd of musicians. Great talent in Detroit.
Well, being from Detroit myself, it's not a bad bunch of musicians, but I always like to be proper, and there's quite a great crowd of great musicians from Lansing, and we've been proud to support and play music from all you guys for, as long as we've been on the air. So, our hats off to you and Oric Ewing and all the rest of the folks from up that way that really kick it out.
Yeah, thank you. We're surrounded by a great university, Michigan State University, so there's a constant rotating crop of young talent. We've got the professors of jazz out there. So we do have what's becoming a vibrant scene in terms of live music across the board.
So you mentioned on your first single, La Coquina, a couple of years ago, that you worked with an independent producer, but how was the path that led you to another Michigander, Nate Harrison?
Yeah, and as you mentioned earlier, Nate and I are working on another project that we'll talk about, but we met online, and that's really the beauty of, social media and the internet. We had a couple lunch appointments. I took a visit to the studio, and I really, was able to identify Nate as someone that I felt comfortable with. He believed in my vision, and we became great friends, and just a great producer to work with, and I couldn't be happier, especially with the Crossover project.
Right. Well, having a good, personal relationship with a producer is actually a wonderful place to begin with from a musical collaboration, because it sets the stage for you to be able to be intimate with each other with your ideas.
Right, and that's something that I would say I'm probably spoiled as an artist, because Nate and I work collectively on the music, and it's not a situation where I really want to just say, okay, Mr. Producer, produce a track and then I lay sax over it, because then it's not as much of an extension of you as the artist. And I really believe that Nate has been very fair with his time in allowing me to be able to work with him side by side.
No, exactly right. And that collaborative effort is really the important part. It's the best part of what goes on between a producer and an artist. And we've got another example of that queued up in just a little bit here. Another track from Crossover called When We Were Friends. And I'll segue away and play a little bit of this, and then on the B-side, when we come back, maybe you can tell us a little bit about this particular track, and then a little bit more about your holiday CD coming up. Here's Phil Denny, When We Were Friends, again, from the Crossover CD, his debut. I love the funky on this one, Phil. A very interesting and wonderful track. It's definitely right on the tip on that smooth jazz bounce kind of thing. Maybe tell us briefly how this track came about, or what you might have been thinking when you were writing this.
Yeah, the song title actually came to me first because to me it had a little bit of a nostalgic feel about it. You're right, it has that heavy bounce. Probably one of my favorite tracks to perform live, honestly. This song, like a lot of the others on Crossover, start and originate with a basic groove, and then we build upon that groove. I typically have not only my saxophone, but my EWI in the studio with me when we're doing the creative process, and a lot of times, because it's just convenient to have the EWI so you're not, fully suited up with your saxophone, I'll just start fiddling around with different concepts, typically starting with the main groove or the chorus. And then I build, typically the verses around that. And When We Were Friends, like I said, is probably one of my favorite tracks, especially to perform live.
Oh, yeah, it's got a great bounce to it. And, there's nothing wrong with starting with a great hook, because you're going to wind up there live a whole bunch of times.
Yeah, and typically that's what the listeners remember. And the drummer, whoever plays this song, I think the drummer always appreciates a pocket, like this track offers.
Yeah, that's one of the fun things about it. And being a Detroit musician, there's a tremendous history of funk, in my particular musical history, but also in most of the musicians that are coming from the R&B side in Detroit. There's definitely that groove thing and that pocket thing happening all the time. And I know when I heard this one the first time, I said, yeah, I got to put this on the playlist, because this is right down the bouncy funky.
Cool.
So you've got another project coming up that's going to be released in just a little bit. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure, yeah, I'm very excited. I've always wanted to do a Christmas or holiday album, and in talking with Nate about the direction of music to come, I said, I'd really like to start off first with working on a holiday project. So 10 tracks coming out Black Friday, 11/25/13. The project is called The Messenger. And if people are interested, you can follow PD, The Messenger, either on Facebook or Twitter, of course, with the hashtag in front of it. I've got a creative, artistic approach to this project. I've partnered with a great artist friend out of Lansing, Michigan, to sort of package the entire project with some very creative artwork. 7 tracks that are considered traditional Christmas time favorites that Nate and I really put a different twist to, and then the project also includes 3 new original tracks that are geared towards the holidays, but when we wrote them, we also wanted them to be able to be played at any time of the year.
Well, that's very cool, because a lot of times, Christmas music from folks' project is Christmas music, and, after January the 2nd, it's like, yeah, you really don't want to hear it much again until next November. But having some tracks that'll survive until the following year and all through the year is a really great idea for a holiday project. We've got one last track queued up that we're going to chat over, and that is Sweet Party. But let me get the intro in and let folks listen to it a little and remember, because I know they've heard it. And then you can tell us the story of how this came about. And it's a great story. So again, a strong rhythmic groove, and that Phil Denny full-throated tenor saxophone lurking in there. But you told the story the last time you were at Spags about how this came about, and it's a great story. So could I beg you to repeat it here for our audience?
Of course, yeah. I was just a guest on the Dave Koz and Friends Alaskan cruise a couple years ago during the process of making Crossover. And some friends of mine had a suite on the boat, a very nice suite, and they decided to throw a party. And it was called Cocktails with the Conjas. And they had asked me to bring my horn and play a few songs, but really just kind of hang out and enjoy the moment while cruising the waters. And I said, I'm going to make this promise to you now because it was such a fun time and a memorable time. I said, I'm going to dedicate a song on the album. I didn't know what it was going to be called at the time, but I came back and had some ideas, and I have to give Nate Hairsome a lot of credit because that bass groove he came up with, I said, it has to be driving funky. We sampled some of the party sounds and things like that. Features Nils on guitar, and I thought, why not just call it a Sweet Party, and it's S-U-I-T-E. Because that's where we were. We were in a sweet party, and I wanted a track that people could put on with their friends and just have a good time.
It makes perfect sense. Unfortunately, I can see by the clock on the wall that it's time for me to let you go so you can continue getting ready for your show tonight at Spaghettini. But where can people find your presence on the web so they can learn more about you and your music?
Sure, thank you. www.phildenny.com. You can also like Phil Denny on Facebook. Music is on iTunes, Amazon, Pandora. If you're listening to any internet radio program, FM, satellite, chances are likely that you might hear a Phil Denny track. And certainly, I always say, if we're not friends, let's be friends.
Absolutely. And, there's a very good likelihood if you're listening to the Digital Guy, you're going to hear a Phil Denny, because we're big supporters of Michigan musicians, but we're big supporters of great musicians. And Phil, you meet both of those criteria, and I'm very much looking forward to popping down a little bit later on tonight and sitting in and playing this track with you. So thank you for inviting me to walk in Nils' shoes for 32 or 64 bars.
No, it's going to be great, and I'm really looking forward to having you, and thanks so much for the continued support, Bruce. It's been great.
No problem, buddy. We're going to push up the remainder of this track, Sweet Party from Phil Denny, and urge everybody to get on down to Spaghettini and, more importantly, support Phil Denny and the Crossover CD, and keep an eye out for The Messenger. Thanks, Phil. We'll talk to you again soon, and I'll see you later tonight.
Thank you.
That's been our special musical guest, Phil Denny, for this week. And we want to also remind folks that Phil is going to be part of the Lemonade Weekend 2.0 coming up next March. We're very much looking forward to having him as part of our Friday daytime events. So definitely get your tickets, lemonadeweekend2.com/TIX. And you can see over 60 great artists, including the one you've just been listening to, Mr. Phil Denny from Michigan.
The Digital Guy flashback track.
Going to send a shout out to our friends up at the Utopian Dreams Band up in the Bay Area. I had a wonderful time playing with him a week ago, or was it 2 weeks ago? Well, whenever it was a fab time, and we played this. Everett Hart, Chasing, with George Duke. send a shout out to Patricia Britton and G. Michael Merrifield from up in the Bay Area. Utopian Dreams Band had a great time playing with them on that particular tune and all the others that we played that night. That is Cherish from Everett Harp. And on the flashback tracks, what we do is we go back in time and get some music that doesn't get a lot of current play and put it up and spin it up for you. Dust it off a little bit so you can enjoy it. Here's a golden oldie from Houston Person that I played on many, many years ago, Soul Serenade. Oh, King Curtis tune. A very interesting recording session. That was from the Pure Pleasure CD from Houston Person from way back in the day, Mercury, if I recall, Mercury Records. And what's interesting about it was that most of the music on that particular record was very up-tempo, but they chose this one particular tune to kind of lay back and swing on. And, of course, this is, as we said earlier, a classic from King Curtis, as done by Houston Person out of New Jersey way. Great pleasure to work with him on recording sessions and play guitar on this. And you're listening to the Digital Guy Radio Show, as we've got one more track here that we are going to use to wrap up our flashback tracks for this week. And I'll let you just listen, and I'll bet you can figure out who this is. But it's not her original song, but it's a great version of this classic from back in the day on the R&B side. And that, of course, is the very talented Basha, who multi-tracks the daylights out of her vocal program. That is Till You Come Back to Me. And I'm not sure how many of our folks listening out there know that while it was made a big hit by Aretha Franklin, it was actually written by Stevie Wonder and Clarence Paul and Morris Broadnax. And here's a gentleman that is coming to Spaghettini in the very near future. I mean, like, literally next weekend. Craig Sharmat. I sure hope he plays this. Some Mumbai Mojo from Blue Horizon. Well, if you're going to try to take a quick visit to India, it's always great to have a Coral Electric sitar handy, and Craig is one of the very few guitarists I know that has access to one of those fine instruments. I keep telling him he's got to bring it along, when we do some of the Motown music on the Motortown Hollywood Review Saturday night. He's going to have to play that doggone thing. Something brand new from fine guitarist Brian Lubeck. This is a brand new single, Tuscan Sky. Right here on the Digital Guy Radio Show, and hey, drop by our Facebook page and say hi. Like that a lot. We've been a big fan of guitarist Brian Lubeck for a long time. That is his brand new single. Literally just came in the mailbag this week, and they're going for ads, as they say in the radio business, tomorrow. But we, because we're on Sunday, we jump on stuff early.
Hi, this is guitarist Joel Del Rosario, and you're listening to my music on the Digital Guy Radio Show, hosted by Bruce Nazarian.
Hello there, Joel. Had a great time seeing you down at Spaghettini a week or so ago with my friends D. Lucas and Tony Exum Jr. And all y'all are going to be playing at the Lemonade Weekend, so of course it was kind of an interesting sort of preview, but that particular night was the tribute to Art and George show, and Joel was playing his butt off on guitar. Here's Washington Square from Side by Side, with Sure Will on keyboards, who is also coming to Lemonade. So if you've been watching the video, we've had the cover for Side by Side up for the last little bit while the tune's playing. This is a track called Washington Square, and it's from Joel Del Rosario and Sure Will's brand new CD called Side by Side. We are really looking forward to having both of them come to the Lemonade Weekend and play. These are fine young talents who are making their mark, and we are very pleased to give them an opportunity to make some new fans and some new friends and get the word out.
Listening to the Digital Guy.
Now, this I am really proud of, and I'm pretty sure that this, I think we're one of the first to go on this. This is from the very fine bassist Roberto Valli. It's a track called In the Air, and it's from Roberto's brand new CD called Boom Boom Boom, and this, of course, features Paul Brown on guitar, Roberto Valli. Love this. Just sink into it. You're not familiar with Roberto Valli's work, you may not be looking at the back of enough CD covers to see everything that he's played on, because he's what we call in the business a significant player. This is a fine debut work. Roberto is a very talented writer as well as a talented bassist, and the entire CD, all of these tracks are incredibly moody and evocative, and it's really great just to put it on and give it a listen. The CD is called Boom Boom Boom, and it's by Roberto Valli, and I think that this is going to be busting out all over internet radio in the next week or so, because I'm going to be telling a whole bunch of my friends, and you should be telling your friends too. This is a great record. You should put it in your collection. Something brand new from George Benson.
And the moment I can feel that you feel that way too, is when I fall in love with you.
And that young lady with the fine voice is Idina Menzel with George Benson, When I Fall in Love.
When I fall in love, it will be forever, or I'll never fall in love. In a restless world like this is, love is ended before it's begun, and too many moonlight kisses seem to cool in the warmth of the sun.
When I give my heart, it will be
I can feel that you feel that way too, is when I fall in love with you. When I give my heart,
when I give my heart,
it will be completely,
so completely,
or I'll never give
my
heart.
No.
I can feel that you feel that way too, is when I fall in love.
When I fall in love.
When I fall in love with you.
Very, very tasty rendition of that classic from Nat King Cole. The last time we heard it, it was a duet between Nat and Natalie, done through the magic of recording technology. But that particular one, George Benson with Idina Menzel. She made famous on Broadway, by the way, from her role in Rent. The clock on the wall says it's time for us to be heading back. And, of course, in the background, we are hearing Renato Falaschi's version of Waiting in Vain, which we're going to probably get a chance to play most all of it tonight, because we got a good long head start on closing time. Features Rocco Ventrella on saxophone. Both Renato and Rocco will be part of the International Notes segment at the Lemonade Weekend 2.0, coming up next March 27th through 30th in Hollywood. We want to cordially invite each and every one of you to come on down. If you live in the Southern California area, there's no excuse to miss this show. Tickets are available right now online at lemonadeweekend2.com/TIX. And until next week, whenever you do listen to the show, on behalf of myself, Dennis Poole, take care, God bless, look after the artists whose music that you love, because they're dependent on you. Bye-bye now. See you next week.